How you doing? How you be? Talk to the AB, and boy, do I have a show for you. Man, we are about to talk about gaming consoles, the Ayaneo 2, the Stream Deck, and the ROG Ally right after this. Hi, I'm Anthony, and if you are new here, consider subscribing. We actually troubleshoot and help people with their technical issues and PC gaming issues, and subscribing will help. Forum. How you doing? How you be? Talk to the AB. Hope everybody had a good day at work. Hope everybody had a good day at school and or church and or whatever you are doing in your life. My name is Anthony, or TheOpenForum, and we are gaming adjacent. Essentially, we help people with their gaming issues, PC issues, Xbox issues, PlayStation issues, Nintendo issues. We just don't stop. That's exactly how we roll. And give me 1 second where I figure out where I did with my headset. What did I do? Oh God, of course I put it in a different room. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, totally different room. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, just making sure that there's no background of another video playing. So let me go ahead and minimize this here because I don't want to see it. And minimize. Okay. Alrighty, boy. Okay, so a lot of cool stuff has happened today. For starters, one, my Ayaneo 2 just came in. I ordered it about a month ago, so it just came in today. And we're going to take a look at it, review it. There's a lot to talk about. Also, the Steam Deck as well as the ROG Ally. So, okay, so let's see how I want to start this. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. All right, so let's start with the Steam Deck, right? So the Steam Deck, this guy here, that it currently has no signal, that I will give a signal as soon as I turn it back on. Hold on 1 second. Why does it keep going to sleep? That's kind of annoying. But come on, Steam Deck. I know you got it. There we go. All right, cool. So Steam Deck, right? So Steam Deck has been pretty sweet, right? Because of its price point and what it can do for you and all that kind of jazz. Of course, I have the wrong controller because it's this guy over here. Any day now. There we go. All right, Steam Deck, right? So you have several different options here for, I think it's, you just press here. Okay, yeah. So Steam Deck gives you a lot of different options. Everything is run from kind of like a Linux operating system. And of course you have the Steam OS. And overall, it is a very, very good product. However, it does have some downsides to it, particularly the resolution. So it's running at 800p, essentially, 800p plus 60 frame per second screen. And the screen is just not exactly the best quality in the world. However, it does have the ability of using an external monitor as well. So, you know, if you wanted to use an external monitor, you can, but those are typically the limitations that you run into. Also, it becomes kind of cumbersome whenever you want to get out of SteamOS in order to run certain applications. Plus, programs and games like Tomb Raider, for example, or just about any MMO you can think of, typically starts to have problems with this particular operating system because, one, like for example, Lost Ark. Lost Ark has a security guard check, and typically the Steam Deck will fail on it. So therefore, it becomes a problem trying to run it directly off of the Steam Deck. So there are some games that it does not support and has issues with it that makes it a little difficult to actually use for your day-to-day for every single game and hit every single gamer's problems, because some people like shooters, some people like MMOs, some people like RPGs, so on and so forth. So there are problems with it, right? But but at that price point though, because you gotta understand, this guy is $399 at the lowest price point, which is at 256 gig, essentially SD, as well as up to 512 gig SSD for $749, right? So it's basically anywhere between $399, I'm sorry, like I think it's like $649, so $399 to like $700. So it's somewhere in that particular price point there. But at that price point, there is very little that can beat it. The Ayaneo 2, which we will take a look at here, this guy right here basically comes in at, it starts at $1099. However, this is a full operating system, okay? I want to make that very, very clear. It is running Windows 11 and it is a full operating system. It starts off with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig, which is the highest of the Steam Deck, right? So it starts at the Steam Deck's highest is where this guy starts, okay? However, it is at a $1,099 price tag. At 32 gigs and 2 terabytes, it jumps up to $1,499. This is the model that I purchased because I knew that this guy here is one of the worst devices to open up. Apparently, whenever you open up the side, it will never be the same. So because of that, they have little stickers that come with it that help you put it back on properly because it's such a pain to get open. So I knew that going in. So I was like, okay, if I know that going in, then there's no way 512 gig or even 1 terabyte would be enough. If I wanted to use it for a full-blown computer, I'm going to at least need 2 terabytes because I don't like having dongles for anything. Because having dongles and trying to hook everything up, especially like if you're doing something or if you're on an airplane, can be very, very cumbersome. If all of your games are sitting on a dongle and you have to hook that up in your backpack just to get your games to play, it becomes a nightmare. So I wanted to go ahead and go with the 2 terabyte because if you think, Hogwarts Legacy, we troubleshoot that game when that came out. That guy is 100 gigs. If you look at Lost Ark, that's 100 gigs. Genshin Impact, that's 100 gigs. What else? Destiny 2, that's 100 gigs. All of these games are actually somewhere around 100 gigs or a little bit less, but somewhere in that area between 50 and 100 gigs. And you're gonna burn through 512 like nothing. I see people burn through the PS5, which is 1 terabyte, like it's butter. So you're just gonna run into that. And so I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and go with that. And so I ordered it, and this is back in the beginning of, or sorry, the end of February. I was getting it for my birthday, which was on March 17th, right? I was like, let me just do this for myself. And I was gonna go with this for my gaming device whenever I traveled. However, what ended up happening is April Fool's ROG Ally launch, which is this guy right here. Now, the ROG Ally is basically touted to have Zen 4 architecture, RDNA 3 graphics, which is very equivalent to what the 6800U has, which is RDNA 3 graphics. So graphics-wise, it's the same, but it also has 120 hertz panel. It's also 1920 by 1080. The Ayaneo 2 is 1920 by 1200. So it has a little bit higher resolution. That resolution is a big freaking deal. It looks gorgeous compared to the Steam Deck. It makes the Steam Deck look like a treat. Like I'm serious. It's really, really, really good. And so now you have this situation where I just got this guy in. There is no returning. There's no going back, right? And now you have the ROG Ally that just getting ready to launch here. And sometime this year or next year or whenever they decide to launch it, that's supposed to tout a 120 hertz screen. Now, you wonder, even if you had a 120 hertz screen, is there a single game that you can play that can actually utilize all 120 hertz at 1080p? No. Not at all. No, not any way that you would like it. I'll put it that way. Now, you may be able to get 120 hertz to show at low or low to medium, something like that. But okay, let's look at the Ayaneo 2, right? That has the 6800U. I was just trying to play Overwatch, which is this guy right here. And I was trying to play Overwatch on this guy. And essentially what ended up happening was Overwatch is somewhere around 60 FPS at medium settings with this guy. However, if you hook up an external monitor that's capable of going past 60 hertz, like 120 or 240 hertz, you notice that it falls somewhere around 80, well, I would say 70 to 90 FPS at medium settings, okay? Now, that is with 22 watts. So that's basically using the GPU to its utmost ability and basically essentially giving it as much power as it possibly can. Now, the ROG Ally is also going to be somewhere in that wattage area, somewhere between the 15 to 30 watt TDP. So it's going to be somewhere in that area, similar to the Ayaneo 2. So now you have a situation where it's like, okay, well, even if I had that extra screen, would I actually use it? Because it's really hard to get 120 hertz on just about anything, you know? So if you look at Call of Duty, that sure as hell isn't happening. If you look at Fortnite, that's a pretty good shot. So you got a pretty good shot on Fortnite. Overwatch, you might, but you may not like the resolution. And then Battlefield, that's not happening. And CS:GO, that may work, right? And so, if you think about like all of these different shooters, PUBG, stuff like that, those may have a good shot, but most games are going to have a problem. But it really kind of depends on what kind of games you play. If you only play shooters, then you may be better off going with something that has a 60 hertz panel and just get an external monitor and just using that, as opposed to going with this guy, depending on price points and stuff like that, or if you like RPGs and MMOs and stuff like that, and you hate the fact that some of the games that you do like are not available on the Steam Deck, then the ROG Ally as well as the Ayaneo 2 becomes a thing. So you have to take both of those guys into consideration. But just out of the box, I freaking love this thing. Oh my God, it is so clean. Hold on, it's over here charging. I got the white on white. So I got this guy on the white on white, right? So basically I got the white charger with the white Ayaneo, and man, it is pretty. Oh my God, it is so pretty. So take a look at this right here, right? So this is essentially what it's looking like, right? So, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, okay? So there are up to like 4 different settings for the fan. It basically has balance, it has high, it has extreme, and then it has like pro. And when I had it on high, like the second to the highest, it's noticeable, but it's not offensive, okay? So it's not like cray, okay? Now, I've only had this guy for maybe about, I would say like 4 hours, which giving me enough to try a few different games. Like as you can see here, I'm trying Overwatch, and as you can see, it's sitting somewhere, well, I guess you can't really see it, but basically it's sitting around 60 FPS. And this is just me kind of testing it out to see, what it's capable of doing. And I did like it. The button layout is interesting. The button feel, though, is, I don't even know a good way to describe it. It's not as clicky as something like the Nintendo Switch, right? So if we look at the Nintendo Switch is very, very clicky on its buttons. It's not like that. It's more like an Xbox controller, I guess is the best way to look at it. The thumbsticks feel good, and that's actually saying a very positive thing. The buttons feel really, really good. It feels better than the Nintendo Switch buttons because the Nintendo Switch buttons feel plasticky, and they feel kind of clicky, like if the cell membrane wants to go away, then it may actually just go out on you. But they both feel very, very robust. So I like the actual feel and the layout. It does get kind of hot whenever you're starting to play some games there. You can actually feel the hot, but it's actually not distributed where you hold the device. It's actually right here on the actual screen. And the only reason why I noticed this is because I wiped it, right? Because this thing right here is a fingerprint magnet. So as soon as I wiped it, I noticed that the screen was kind of hot. And all I was doing was running Tomb Raider. And I'll show that. I can't show it in this video because, I have a gigantic video that I haven't had a chance to edit. It'll be up in the next few days. But when I was trying Tomb Raider, just to see what it can do, it was kind of hot, running at 22 watts with high on the fan setting. So, there are some compromises that you may need to make. However, its GPU performance is obviously going to be higher than the Steam Deck, even at 1200p. If you bring it down to 800p, it smokes the Steam Deck because, I mean, it's a stronger graphics card and it's a stronger processor. So overall, man, I am super, super happy about it. I like the 2 terabyte. It does have an SD card reader, which is actually right here at the bottom. So right there. So if you look there, there's a USB-C port as well as 3.5 millimeter. And then you have that SD card reader. Now, I did notice that I was able to hook this up to an external monitor with the USB-C, just like a straight USB-C to USB-C cable. And it was trying to drain the battery of the Ayaneo. So you have to be very careful about that, depending on which monitor you hook it up to. As far as an external monitor, it'll ask you sometimes if you want it to use the Ayaneo's battery, which is a no-no. You don't want to do that, right? Because if so, you'll just straight up drain it and you'll, decrease the lifespan of your battery. So you got to be very careful about that. And then on the front side, if we look there, you have your fan grill, which can get a little hot. It's not uncomfortable, but it does get hot. Then you have 2 USB-C ports as well as the volume, and that is a fingerprint reader. Go figure. It has a fingerprint reader for Windows and it allows you to basically set it up just like any other fingerprint scanner, and works pretty darn well. Now, those two buttons that you see between the left bumper and right bumper are custom. So you get 2 extra custom buttons that you can use for any game that you actually play, as well as a left trigger and a right trigger. So I haven't had a chance to actually set that up, but I did notice a few things with it because this is a support channel and support is what we do. So the first thing that I did notice is the software. Once you actually open the software here, which is this right here, if we go to home. All right, so this right here is the software. This is the default Ayaneo software. What I try to do is update it to the latest version. And you do that by going to, let's see here, where'd it go? Still working on this. Okay, so you click on the More button, which is right where I have it highlighted. You click on More, and right here you go check for updates. And currently I have no updates, but there was an update that was available. The update that was available was 1.1. However, it was in Chinese. So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe, you know, they're still trying to get everything fixed. So I downloaded it. And once it updated, basically the Ayaneo software is basically what allows you to use your controllers as the mouse, as essentially the mouse and keyboard. And so the software, once it updated, it changed my entire Ayaneo software to Chinese. So you couldn't see anything. You couldn't read it. You couldn't do anything. That was the first issue I ran into. So in order to fix this though, all you have to do is go to the Ayaneo logo, which is right here. So you see towards the top left, I believe, yeah, top left, you see that little Ayaneo logo right there. So essentially you click on that right next to the home screen there. Once you click on that, you have to go into the settings and then language, and that will fix it. So once you go into language, you change to English and that will fix it. So if you do have plans on getting something like this, like the Ayaneo, be aware that some of the updates will change the version to whatever is most comfortable or whatever it's supposed to come out with, which is Chinese in this particular instance. But I changed it back to English and that worked pretty well. But overall, man, I am over the moon with it. Now, I would say it truly needs a screen protector, because I worry that this thing will break and it is way too expensive to break. So I kind of want to get a screen protector. Now, it should be noted that if you look at this guy, it looks as if it already has a screen protector, which it does. It kind of has like a Gorilla Glass kind of thing going, but I would rather have a second screen protector, because if I drop this thing, I worry that I may crack it or damage it. But it's just so robust and such a good product that I'm just over the moon about it. I like it so much. I haven't really got a chance to go all the way into it to figure out, you know, what it's capable of, what it's not capable of. When I ran Tomb Raider with the exact same settings as the Steam Deck, it stomped it, of course. It was about maybe 20% better, 10 to 15% better, somewhere in that area, 10 to 20% better than the Steam Deck with the same settings. So basically I ran it on high at, of course, 800p, because that's the highest the Steam Deck can go to. And it performed, of course, better than the Steam Deck because it's a stronger processor and GPU. So it does edge out the Steam Deck. However, I'm not sure if the ROG Ally is going to give you everything, like exactly, you know, like 120 hertz in every single game that you play, or if it's going to give you 120 hertz in games like Call of Duty, or even Overwatch for that matter, or Battlefield. I worry that it's not going to hit that, because I know most graphics cards won't hit that. So you may have to make some compromises there, but we'll see what happens with the ROG Ally when it comes out. But this guy here gives you a very good understanding of what is capable with the ROG Ally. So, whew. That was a lot to say. I know it was a mouthful, and apparently my Wi-Fi just got disconnected. Hold on, let me see what's up here. What happened? Wi-Fi, what happened? Are you okay? Okay, close that out. Oh yeah, it did. Apparently my Wi-Fi went out. There it is. I think it's reconnecting. Okay. I'll let this guy reconnect and let me put it back over on his charger and we can get started helping people. But yeah, it's a lot to talk about with the with the Ayaneo 2. So far though, I really, really like it. I think that's going to turn into a really good product. But that price point makes it a little difficult. But to be fair, the ROG Ally can't be cheap, because the ROG Ally and the Ayaneo 2 have to make money off the product, whereas the Steam Deck doesn't have to make money because they know you're going to buy games from Steam. So they can sell it at cost because they don't have to worry about making any type of a profit because you're just going to buy all the Steam games. So that's how they make their money. So because of that, they can have it at a lower price point, whereas the Ayaneo 2 and any of those of that ilk, so like the 1X player, Ayaneo 2, as well as the ROG Ally, those guys there have to have it at a higher price point. So it probably will be quite expensive. It probably will be in the same ballpark as the Ayaneo 2 if I had to guess, just because of the 120 hertz panel and the fact that it's Asus. So we will see how that goes. But that is my first general impressions of this guy. I do have to give it some time and figure out exactly what it can do and what it can't do. Also, I know y'all see that, and I was actually looking at this and I was like, oh man, that is so clean. So basically now you guys can see, well, you could see until I did that. Hold on, let me go back to the review screen. You can actually see the side of my computer. So yeah, my computer is now over here now. So I'm gonna move it up a little bit so now people, whenever I switch to my B screen, you guys can see it. But I just noticed that whenever I switch to my cam, it's because of things that are in the way, you won't be able to actually see it. But yeah, it is beefy over here. And then there's a monitor on the front of the screen on the chassis. That's how it's rolling. And yeah, it's a lot to talk about. So I have to do a review on that. I have a lot of stuff to do, but with in any event, let's go ahead and start helping people. And yeah, my Wi-Fi. Ooh, this may be an interesting little issue. So apparently my Wi-Fi has gone out, but has it gone out on anything else? Let me see. Who else connects to Wi-Fi? PlayStation, you connect to Wi-Fi, and so does the Xbox. Are y'all out too? Xbox. No. All right, well, that's not a good sign. So the Xbox Wi-Fi looks fine, but the Ayaneo's Wi-Fi does not. Let's make sure that this guy can connect. So essentially, we're doing, oh, y'all can barely see that. Well, basically, it's just like any other Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's saying that it can't connect to the network. So now it's starting to have problems, it appears, connecting to Wi-Fi. Well, that, after I done said that whole spiel, now it doesn't want to work. Okay, let's try this here. Give me 1 second here. Let me go ahead and set this up. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and do that so you guys can see that. All right, 1 second here. Let me just do that. See if this works. And no. And then we will get right back to what we were doing. I am so sorry. I did not think it was going to die. It has to install updates, so I'm trying to make sure that it can at least connect. Okay, so it may not be the Ayaneo. It may have just been my Wi-Fi because it was able to reconnect back onto a different SSID. So yeah, it may have just been that. So no problems here. So yeah, let me put this back over here. Stepping on cables. Hold on. All righty. Oh God, come on. There we go. Is this good? Okay. Yeah, it's good. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, after all that being said, let's actually get started at helping people. Alrighty. So, group 2. Now that we've talked about everything in group 1, let me turn this fan on and let's get started here. Let me get a swig. Diablo beta is currently what we're watching. Let's see, we could change it. Let's do Call of Duty. Why not? All right, so we'll do Call of Duty for today. I'll have to add some more. I'll add some more over the weekend. I haven't had a chance to, been too busy with that product and other products that have been coming in. So you got to bear with me here, but we'll do Call of Duty today and we'll make some more. I have one with Lifeweaver, the new character in Overwatch. So I'll have one of those that we can swap to, that you guys can watch while we do all the talking and texting and all that nonsense. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. So this is, okay, so this is just kind of a repeat here. It shows solved, so I'm guessing they already fixed their issue, or maybe we fixed their issue. Maybe we can get a W out of this real quick. So this is a new PC build, and he says, so the problem where RAM stability as I had set up my PC. Oh, this is the one with the XMP 6000 megahertz. Okay. So this isn't something we've already given ourselves a W. We're not that vain. And I said, yep, I would just check the manufacturer's page for updates on the BIOS. So I took out my RAM and tested them by myself. Both ran fine. Then I put them back in, I switched them so that they were in the opposite slot. As I reseated them, I pressed harder than I did on the first time. For over 2 hours, I have not had a single crashing game where I had one every 15 minutes before. So he reseated his RAM. Is a pain for Ryzen at the moment if stress tests are successful. Okay, so basically where I left off, I was telling him that 6,000 megahertz is kind of a pain for Ryzen, the newer version of Ryzen, because it doesn't like going past. Okay, I get that 6,000 megahertz is what they say is the sweet spot for Ryzen. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's a pain, because you may run a test. You may run like literally a test for an hour. So let's say you run a stress test for an hour, and that's usually enough to tell you if everything is fine. You run a stress test, everything is fine. Okay, you do like, for example, mem test 86 for like 3 days, because that's how long it takes with a good amount of RAM. And you run mem test for a while, and mem test doesn't show anything wrong. And then that's all of a sudden you start playing a game for a few hours, and all of a sudden you start seeing artifacts. I am not crazy about 6,000 megahertz on Ryzen. I don't care what they say. So it's just, I think 5200 may be the sweet spot, and maybe not 6,000, okay? Because I have 6,000 RAM and I have 5200 RAM, and I've noticed that I have less problems with 5200 than I did with 6,000, okay? So just bear that in mind. Okay, and so, okay, I'm glad he was able to get that working. Okay. Glad you, okay, keep us posted, and let us know if the issue comes back. And have we already? No, we have not. So let's give him our information. Getting one customer at a time, that's how we roll here. So just do a quick copy paste. Alrighty, paste as plain text. There we go. So just letting them know that, we have a YouTube channel. We do this. This is what we do. We're very, very good at it. And now that we have the Ayaneo, which means that we can now troubleshoot Ayaneos just like we did with the Xbox when we got it. So now we can troubleshoot Ayaneo, Steam Deck, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, obviously, networking, hardware, and PlayStation, if I didn't already say that, the Switch, and the Xbox. So basically we can troubleshoot just about anything. We don't really have anything that we can't troubleshoot. I mean, obviously we can troubleshoot cameras, OBS, PC, software, whatever. So yeah, it's getting kind of wild. I'm kind of liking it because, I mean, it's so varied. So now we do have questions here from other types of products now. So it'll be interesting here to see how this all pans out. But I think this will make it a very, very interesting show because there's a lot of interesting questions in there. So let's go ahead and go to the next one here now that we've answered him. All right, so we got a video, and this is a new issue, so let's take a look. All right, so it says, help, please. Okay, have you met us? Help is what we do, sir. I wanted to play some game in this summer, but my PS3 doesn't work, but it works fine on my friend's TV. Okay, hello, friends. Kindly help me regarding I have a PS3. Okay, I'm just going to read this, and y'all can just finish watching Call of Duty and me getting destroyed. I have a PS3 Super Slim. I've been trying to connect to it from my UHD TV, a Hisense Tornado 4K. It detects HDMI. If I click yes, it proceeds to no signal page. If I click no, it proceeds to a blank page. Okay, with sound but no display. It works absolutely fine in my friend's TV, a 32-inch. Please help me. I'm a kid. I want to enjoy some games and vacations or holidays. Please help. I have tried changing the HDMI cable, reset settings in safe mode, and every other option in safe mode. Okay. So it is a PlayStation 3, which we don't have here, but we can just go from the settings and kind of point them in the right direction. So PlayStation. Oh, also we can actually see it from here. So let's do this. Let's switch out. Let's click here. And I don't think it has sound, so let's just maximize. An available HDMI device was detected. Do you want to output video and audio using HDMI? And he hits yes. and he gets a black screen. Okay, so the first thing is it's going to be his frame rate. More than likely, okay, well, to be fair, the PlayStation 3 probably didn't even have 120 hertz, but he may have to go down from 1080p to 720 depending on what his resolution settings are. So what we can do is this, because this is gonna sound bad, okay? Hisense, as well as a lot of those Panasonic, the original Panasonics, before they started to make the higher end products, and you know, also Insignia, those type of televisions typically have, I've noticed issues with inputs, right? So for example, if you're doing 1080p and it says it can do 120 and you hook up a 120 device to it, it can start to stutter. It's not as reliable as some of the name brands. That's usually why it's cheaper. It's not exactly A grade. Does that make sense? So, or the processor is a little bit weaker in some of those televisions. So I do run into trouble with them. So for him, you know, because I mean, he just said he was a kid. So I would tell him to basically lower the resolution to 720p 60 and see if that works, and then go from there. So if we go back to him, well, okay, yeah, we can just go here. That's fine. And say, okay, so first thing you want to do is go into the settings of the PS3. While it's at your friend's house, obviously, while it's at your friend's house, and set the resolution, and go to settings and resolution, and go to settings, display. Is it settings display? Let's see. I think it's going to be something like that, settings display. You're not gonna give me that? Really? I have to use the controller that's almost dead? Really? You're not gonna? Okay. Okay, fine. Hold on. That's stupid, by the way, but okay. Is it dead? I feel like it's about to be dead. Oh, it's not. Okay, cool. Oh, now you want to show up. No, I don't want to talk to you. Go away. All right, so if we go to settings, how is it gonna be right in my way? We're live, sir. Please go away. All right, so settings, system, HDMI. Is it system HDMI? Screen and video. Settings, screen and video, and then resolution. Settings, screen and video. Now, of course, it's a PlayStation 3. I don't know if it's going to be the same, but it should be relatively similar, right? So here, let me put this back over here while it's in my... It is completely in my way. I'm not crazy about that charger. That charger's kind of weird, but whatever. It's working, so I'm not going to trip. Oh my God. Okay. So by going settings, what was it? Settings, screen and video. Okay, settings, display, put in parentheses, screen and video. Here, change the resolution to 720p 60 FPS. Actually, you know what? I'll tell them to do 60 right now, right? Because I don't think that the issue is the fact that it can't display 60 FPS, because 60 FPS has been around for a very, very long time. So I think that it's not necessarily 60 FPS that's the problem. I think that it may just be the fact that it's something higher than 60, or it's something higher than 1080, or it's 1080 and it doesn't like showing it, something along those lines. So, or it's trying to show 4K, which is even worse. So we'll change it to 720/60 just to make sure it works and see if it gives you a picture. Here, change the resolution to 720/60 FPS, then take it home, hook it up to the Hisense, and then once it's hooked up to the Hisense, see if you get a picture when you hit yes. If you do, then bump the settings to 1080p 60 FPS and see if that works. Okay, so we'll do it that way, right? So he already knows that if he takes it to his friend's house, it works. So while it's at his friend's house, go ahead and make sure that the resolution is set to 1080p. I'm sorry, 720p, 60 frames per second. That is the lowest scenario. Okay, the lowest common denominator of this particular situation. So take it to 720p, 60 FPS. Make sure you get a picture. Once you know you got a picture, then go ahead and take it to 1080p, 60 FPS, and then go from there. Right. So that was stupid, by the way, going in there with an RPG and knowing doggone well it's not gonna, you're so slow in trying to fire your weapon. They done shot you 8 times before you actually get off the missile. So yeah, that was silly, just me being stupid. I think this just came out when I recorded this, so I do apologize. I'm not exact. I don't know. I like playing around and running RPGs and blowing people up because I thought it was just fun. So please do not judge me based on what exactly is happening here. But I do like running the riot shield too, so that's a thing. But yeah, that's what I would say for this one here. Mr. Food, keep us posted if you have any questions. But yeah, that's what you would do here. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. So this is another PC issue. Oh no, it's not even a PC issue. It's just a PC show off. the Tower of Mid-Tier Power. It just looks very blue. Okay, let me get this right. This man has an Intel Arc, an RTX A4000, as well as a third graphics card that I can't even see towards the bottom here. That's a lot. Okay, I thought he was trying to say hello, but he says actually have an Intel Arc A770 16 gigs to support Intel graphics endeavors, and NVIDIA RTX A4000 to render video where the Arc cannot, and an AMD HIS RX 562 gig to hook up to my old CRTs. Yes, that will work perfectly in tandem. I think that the whole you need to remove and uninstall other graphics card drivers on your PC to make your card works correctly is a crock at this point. He's absolutely correct. So there have been times, me personally, right? There have been times where we have run, or I have run, an Intel GPU, I'm sorry, not Intel, but he said ARC, so I'm thinking Intel, an NVIDIA GPU, as well as an AMD GPU in the same rig. And true, I also did this when I was mining. I had essentially 3 GTX 1060s, as well as 2 RX 480s that were 8 gigs, something like that. And then I had the 3 1060s. So I used to run that all the time. So it's very, very common. I do that. I am very familiar with it. And you would essentially install the Radeon driver, or the Radeon driver that is compatible with mining in this particular situation, as well as the NVIDIA driver, and it ran fine. Had no problems whatsoever. You can use either the Radeon or the NVIDIA for the monitor, and it was cool. So I know that too to be true. However, it's easier for us to troubleshoot as engineers, or people who are aspiring to be engineers, or people who are aspiring to get into tech, to troubleshoot it the normal way, right? Basically, uninstall, reinstall, stuff like that. Make sure you only have one, and so on and so forth, because it does eliminate the possibility of issues. I'm not saying that it can't work. It's just saying that it's better for us to treat it as if it shouldn't work. Does that make sense? So that's what I would say for something like that. But yeah. Alrighty. I agree to an extent. I used to run AMD cards with NVIDIA cards back in my mining days. Way back when. But I do like the A4000. That's a nice little card you got there. All right, let's go and go to the next one here. Let me get some to drink. Okay, let's do this. Could somebody please tell me why I have 26 gigs of RAM installed and I'm only able to use 10? Okay, well, they're probably different types of RAM. I believe it is orientation based though. My CPU is an AMD FX 9590. Jesus Christ. And my motherboard is a Gigabyte 990 FX UD5. That's old school. FX 9590. Back when Phenom. So basically, it's going to be Phenom FX 9590. It's going to be back there. So we're talking 13 years ago. So he has 26 gigs of RAM. I'm not sure if the FX 9590 even can run something like that. I think it maxes out at like 16. So I'm not even sure. And 26 gigs isn't a real number. So it sounds like you have mismatched RAM. this may be where your problem is. I would say try the matching ones, the matching pair by itself, then try the other matching pair by itself and see if both pairs work. If both pairs work, if they do, then it's just not. If they do, then more than likely it doesn't like the RAM speeds. Different RAM speeds. It doesn't like the different RAM speeds / types. Different RAM speeds / types. I mean, we're talking old school. I can't remember a single person back then wanting as much RAM as he has now. You know, so I mean, even back then, I mean, 8 gigs was more than enough. So the fact that you have 26 makes me think that you have a couple of different types of RAM that you have set up, and that is a problem. So, you know, especially on something that old, you know, and I'm guessing he probably hasn't run any kind of updates on it. So, I mean, this is an old guy. So, yeah. So that's what I would say, you know, for something like this. I would say, you know, essentially try the pairs. So basically you may have 2 8s and 2 4s, right? So I would say, you know, if you have 2 8s and 2 4s, I would say to try the 2 8s by themselves and then try the 2 4s by themselves and see if they both work. If they both work together, or they both work separately in pairs, then more than likely they just don't like being together because they don't agree with the same RAM speed, which means that you would just need to go the 2 8s or the 2 4s. In this case, probably just the 2 8s. All right, let's go to the next one here. This is from Yeet Boy, and this is another repeat. He says games freeze, don't load, and won't ever work. Try power cycling reinstalling, which only worked temporarily for one game, restarting multiple times, and nothing works. Games of various sizes from 40 to 20 gigs. And I said, okay, well, it's possible that your hard drive is underperforming, thus you can simply replace it with an SSD, which will make your games load quite a bit faster. This is probably the best way to speed it up. Do you have any recommendations for a good SSD? Thank you for the help. Sure. Okay. I don't like this question. There's a reason for it. So if we look here, right? Most people, if you ask them, especially if they're tech people, if you ask them which should you go with when we're talking about SSDs, they're probably going to say something about Samsung 960, 970, 980 Pro, right? So if you say Samsung 960 Pro SSD, 960, 970, somewhere in that area. Okay, that's the 960. Samsung SSD. Let's go with that. I forgot what it said. It's like Evo 870. Okay, that's what it was. It was the 870 Evo. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. So 870 Evo, it's just that these guys typically run a little bit higher than some of the cheaper SSDs, and I am not the type to say, okay, yeah, I would go with this one here, because I also use the inline SSDs, and those guys are fine too. So you know, when it comes to SSDs, I would give him this one because it's the more ideal one to go with, because it is the most reliable. However, if he's trying to save a couple dollars, then yeah, an inline SSD or whichever one is the cheapest will probably do him more good than harm, because we're just talking about a PlayStation 3 or 4, something like that. Oh, Xbox One S, right? So we're just talking about an Xbox One S. So, you know, I think that any SSD would be fine, but we'll go ahead and go with the Evo. What was it called? 870 Evo. I still can't remember the name. So yeah, I would go with the 870 Evo on this one. Pretty good and a decent price. Pretty good, durable, and a decent price. And also let them know that we exist. Okay, and that, my friends, is a W. and it did not show my W. Why? Oh, because I'm not on the right screen. There we go. There's my confetti. I got to get my confetti there. So yes, that is a W. Thank you for the confetti. Oh, it's so appreciative. Seeing the fact the way we started yesterday, we started with like 8 L's, man. It was bad. It was real bad. We had a bad night. But today we're starting off pretty good. So I'll take that one, a W. We haven't had an assist trophy in I don't know how long, but W's and L's, I mean, you know, the L's, you know, as long as you can learn from them, they're pretty good. You know, the unforced errors versus the forced errors is kind of the way I look at it. Some of those ones that are unforced are the ones that really annoy me, because it's like, man, you could have figured that one out. But, you know, I think we're doing pretty good right now. We'll see how the other groups pan out, but so far, so good. All right, group 3, let's go. Okay, we got another video. Let me read the text first. Not sure why, but when I open God of War Ragnarok on my PS5, the resolution seems to drop to 1080p on the home screen, but then goes back to 1440p when it's not running. Anybody else run into this? No, but I'm willing to take a look. So let's go ahead and take a look at his issue here. All right, so he's opening up God of War Ragnarok. Great game. One of my favorites. Probably top 2, top 3. That's a top 3. Yeah, maybe I would say top 3. Top 3 is fair. I wouldn't call it top 2 because, you know, obviously God of War, the original one, has to go in there too. Okay. Right? So he hit play game and then she kicked him out. I don't, but that's not what he said it was doing. Okay, so it tries to load. It says please wait, and then it kicks him back to the home screen. Yeah, kicks him back to the home screen. Okay, got it. No, never ran into an issue like that. However, and yeah, I can go back to that. However, what I would say for this would be to uninstall and reinstall the game to see if that resolves the issue. What resolution is your monitor running at? You can see this. Was God of War Ragnarok released on the PlayStation 4 as well? I feel like it was. So let me see. Oh, it's PS5. Okay. You can see this by going to settings and then screen and video, obviously, because we just had another question where we just went there. Screen and video. By going to settings and screen and video. Okay, so just trying to figure out what resolution he's running at versus what his monitor can support versus what God of War is trying to do. So, you know, he's saying it's switching to 1080p, but it's kicking him back out to the main screen is what it looks like. So I would go with an uninstall and see if that fixes it. Uninstall, reinstall, and then go from there, as well as checking to see what your settings are, because it may just be some incompatibility between your television and the PS5. All right, Clutch, keep us posted, bro. All right, let's go to the next one here. Okay, give me 1 second. That's weird. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. Let me check one thing real quick here. See if my Mac died earlier. So now I'm just trying to make sure that it can connect now. Hey, it can connect. Good job. Good job. I feel like that's the password, but it's probably not. Give me 1 second here. Just trying to open it up so that we can use it. Okay, I think it's good now. Okay, we'll give it some time for it to realize what it wants to do with this life. And let's go and go to the next one. All right, so this is from the plushies, the gamer. Minus 10% download, can't get rid of it. Hello, I have a Samsung phone, so we're back on phones. It's model number SMN95OU. I feel like I know this one. My Samsung keyboard English US is at minus 10%, and I can't download anything else because it's downloading. I'm not sure how to get rid of it. If someone can help, or just leave a comment if you know how to fix this. Thanks for helping out if you do. Negative 10% download, can't get rid of it. I can't download anything because it's down. What is it? What are you downloading? What are you trying to download? Do you have a picture of the issue? What happens if you reboot your cell phone? That should break the download, and when you go back, it should re-download. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you know, there's no picture. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. You keep saying it. Who is it? What is it? You know, it's kind of hard for me to get an idea of what you're referring to when you just say it. You know what I mean? So yeah, we need some more information. We need a picture or something like that so we can get an idea of what we're talking about here. But if we're talking about just downloads in general, it should be fair to say that for downloads in general, rebooting the actual phone kills those downloads, and then you can just re-download once it comes back up and just go from there. So the plushies, let us know how that goes. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Is this clean? Well, let's find out. All right, so he's saying, is his build clean? It's nice. It's nice. I mean, is it clean? Yeah. All his fans are in the right orientation. Graphics card looks good. His heatsink, his CPU header, or not CPU header, but his CPU liquid cooler looks great. I mean, it's all nice and zip tied and everything. I mean, yeah, it looks great. Looks great. Nice build, bro. Congrats. Looks nice. It's okay except the front. Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's a fingerprint magnet. You're gonna run into that a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice build. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say here. I mean, it looks really good. Sure. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. All right, so this is from No Hate Please. He says, how do I fix this? I can't really see what he's talking about there, but neither can you. So I'll just go like this and I'll try to read it. I feel like we've worked this issue. Like literally somebody was on the channel that could read this. And they told us what it said, and then we went from there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hi there. I just re-downloaded the entire game and most things are fixed. Now the normal title screen appears and I can play multiplayer. But when I want to play campaign or spec ops, I get sent back to the intro screen. Very weird, but could it have something to do with the fact that both Warzone packs aren't installed? Are those essential to play? Yes, you need all packs installed to play all the different game types. Let us know how that goes. Did it? Nothing. Okay. So does it generate an error when it kicks you back to the main screen? Can you show us a picture of what happens or a video so we can kind of get an idea of what you're referring to? Because typically once you install all those packs, you kind of have to give it some time though, because you have to sit kind of like in the main screen and let it download all of those shaders and packs and stuff like that. So it could be that he may not have downloaded all of his shaders and that maybe that has something to do with it. But you know, we'll know a little bit more if he at least gives us a picture so we can actually see it, because it'll be in the very, very top of the Call of Duty screen. It'll basically be up here, you know, at the top saying that, you know, it's downloading shaders. So it may just be that, but we won't know until he gives us a picture. So Mr. No Hate, keep us posted. All right, let's go ahead and go to our next one here. All right, so this is from Long Jumping Bid. Long Jumping Bid says, Xbox controller won't connect to my PC via Bluetooth. I'm having this problem that I can't connect to my Xbox controller via Bluetooth, but with a USB works perfectly. Okay. I've already tried to update my controller through the Xbox Accessories app and update the drivers from the device manager. Yes, my controller supports Bluetooth, and yes, I already connected it in the past. I can connect it to my phone, and my computer sees several devices but no controller. I can connect it to my phone, and my computer sees several devices but no controller. Okay. Okay. Sounds like you may have issues with the Bluetooth on the PC, I would say to go to updates, then advanced. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Hold on. Advanced options, then optional, and see if there is a Bluetooth update to install. All right, so what I'm talking about is this. We'll do it from Windows 10. Because we've done this before for another guy, but we can go here so I can just show everybody. So basically, whenever you're on the check for updates, if you go to view optional updates and then you go to driver updates, it would actually show you, all of the updates that you're missing. And here is where you may be able to see, like, for example, here, the Bluetooth. It's not gonna give you the option to download it automatically, but it will be in the optional updates just in case you do want to download it. So in his particular situation, he may want to go ahead and check and see if there's any updates that are available for his Bluetooth dongle. Even though it may not show it, he's probably going to have it in the optional update. So that's what we're referring to. So y'all can see that. Y'all could have saw that, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, just making sure. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our homie here. Advanced options, and then optional, advanced options, advanced optional updates, and see if there is a Bluetooth update to install under drivers. Okay, yeah, I would say just try to update the Bluetooth settings, or just the Bluetooth dongle or the Bluetooth device for your computer, and see if that actually resolves the issue. Now, it could be in a BIOS update, but neither here nor there. If it is, we'll just say update the BIOS. But that's what I would go with there, because it just seems like you may be having an issue with the Bluetooth on the computer, not necessarily the controller. See, in fact, it does work with your cell phone. So, Mr. Bid, keep us posted. All right, group 3. That's not too bad. How are we? Well, we only got 1 W, so I guess it's not the best thing in the world, but it's still not bad. It could be worse. It can most definitely be worse. All right, so the next one here is issues with my TP-Link Deco X60. So we're back to a networking issue. And basically, this man has an Deco X60 units. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. But essentially, it is a bunch of Wi-Fi routers that can essentially run in a mesh topology. And let's see here, right here. And I said I would say to try and update the firmware on these guys to see if that makes a difference. What happens if you power them on at the same time? Will they connect to the proper master unit? Firmware is up to date as much as you can speak of it being so. Firmware is from early 2021. Hardware V2. TP-Link hasn't touched these things for a while, I see. Dang it. Crud. Well, they look fairly easy to move around. Why not just move the one that ends up being the master every time? That ends up being why not just move the one that ends up being the master every time? Well, they look fairly easy to move around. Why not just move the one that ends up being the master every time to where you want it to be, and the slaves, and replace with the slave, and replace with the slave that's already there. So I don't like using revive. I think it's so stupid. It annoys me when you fall to your knees and then get shot again in the face. I'm not the biggest fan of that. But for some reason, I'm running it on this one here. I haven't ran revive in a long time. Make sure I said that right. Why not just move the one that ends up being the master every time to where you want it to be, and replace with the slave that's already there? Yeah, so basically he was saying one of the 3 units gives a connection without internet access. Now they have connected separately to the main unit. But recently they have updated or something, because now one of the 3 units gives a connection without internet access. The units that's closer now connects through the unit that's further away. I power cycle both units in such a way that the one closest to the main unit would connect to the main unit first. Okay. So he has 1, 2, 3. Here, let me okay, maybe we can do a picture. One, no, let's do this. Give me 1 second here. Let me untitled page. Yeah, this works. All right, bet. So if we go, all right, so okay, let's explain this issue real quick, right? So he has 1, 2, and 3, which is going to be way out here, right? This is a symbol for a router. Yes, it's tacky, but that's what it is. All right, so this, he wants this guy to be the master, right? A-S-T-E-R, right? He wants this guy to be the master, okay? Because this guy 2, he wants 2 to connect to this guy, which is the master, right? Because this link is closer than this link, okay? Okay, so he wants 2 to connect to this guy here. So what's actually ended up happening is this guy and this guy are connecting up. And now it makes it so because this guy is further away. So if you look, this is almost the hypotenuse. If this was a triangle, this would be the hypotenuse. So this guy here is trying, 3 is trying to connect to 2. And because it's trying to connect to 2 instead of this leg, it's going a further distance to 2. And because it's going a further distance to 2, it's not giving you a solid connection instead of connecting to 1, the master. So now 3 is connecting to 2 instead of it connecting to 1. So basically 2 is supposed to connect to 1 and 3 is supposed to connect to 1. But what's happening is 2 is connecting to 3 and 3 is connecting to 2 and 1 is just 1. So that's what they're running into as of right now. So what I am saying is, get them closer. So if 2 is the one that everybody's connecting to, swap this guy with this guy, right? So if you swap 2 with master and bring master down here, then that would fix his issue because everybody's connecting to 2 anyway. So maybe that may be the only way to resolve it because there's no update to get around it. So if there's no update to get around it and they look pretty easily to move around, I would just move around the one that they're all connected to the place where you want it to be so that it's close enough that it can get a signal to 3 and 2. So essentially you would move 2 around until it gets to the place where you need it to be. And that's the way that I'm thinking about his particular issue, because in this particular situation, there's no update that he can go to that would help him with this issue. So if there's no update, then we have to treat it as, you know, okay, well, we have to troubleshoot it and try to get it working. And the best way to get that guy working is to essentially move them to a location that makes it a little bit easier for everybody. So that is what I am going with there, and replace it with the slave that's already there. Okay, I don't know why I should say slave. Master slave is what we call clusters. So basically, if you have units in a cluster, we call them master and slave. Well, at least that we used to, but now they call it something else. And I'm not up to date with the trends. They just used to be called master slave. That's what I'm gonna call them. But I don't know what the new one is. I think it's like leader follower or something, but maybe that's offensive too. I have no idea, but that's what we used to call units in a cluster. We call them master slave. Just call me old. I'm okay with that. So we replace it with the, instead of calling this slave, we'll call it the other unit. Other unit. That's already there. So we'll just go with that, whatever. Brain hurt. I'm so sorry, Chase. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bro. I was trying to make it easier to understand, but essentially he has 3 routers that connect to each other, and for some reason the third router is losing signal because it's connecting to the one that's furthest away. So the way you fix that is to basically swap it, because there's no firmware he can update to that can fix his issue. So unfortunately, there's just no way to fix his issue the regular way, which is a firmware update. But in this particular situation here, it appears they have abandoned this product. So we got to help what we can here. So let's see if that works here. And Lars, just keep us posted. I'm so sorry. I tried to make that as simple as humanly possible without getting too complicated, but yeah, it's kind of hard when you're dealing with 3 unit routers and Wi-Fi and how to set it up so that they all have signal connectivity and so on and so forth. All right, but we're done with networking for right now. We'll see if we have to go back to it. Okay, cool. Now we have Ayaneo questions, so let's do it. how long will I receive the Ayaneo 2 if I order from the official website? So for the Ayaneo 2, there is no official website. It is just Indiegogo as of right now. Targeting 32 gig, 2 terabyte, Ayaneo 2 model. If I order that from the official website, how long would the wait probably be? 1 month. 1 month is how long it took, but it may take longer as it appears to be difficult for them to ship the product, or for them to get the right parts for the product. There was also an issue that they had on their site about the NVMEs having problems as well with the Ayaneo 2, which is, okay, why am I doing that when I can just switch inputs? This guy. So with the Ayaneo 2, you know, there was a few issues with the NVMe, and essentially what was happening is with the NVMe that they previously had, they couldn't read or write from the drive, something to that effect, which is why I was trying to download multiple games to make sure that my NVMe drive was working properly, and it appears that it is. So yeah, that's essentially what I've noticed. But yeah, it takes about a month for the product to go into, even though Indiegogo seems a little iffy. It worked out okay. I did end up getting the product, so I'm not exactly upset about it, but there is no takebacks. After about a week and a half or so, there are no more takebacks. Like once you give it to them, you give it to them, and you have to trust them. So bear that in mind. So, you know, if you are looking for the Ayaneo 2 and you're a little bit uncomfortable with Indiegogo, you may want to wait for the ROG Ally. I would at least say that. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm just saying Indiegogo it's Indiegogo. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no warranty. There's no nothing. You see what I'm saying? You can call them and get their support. I'm not saying that they don't give support. I'm not saying that we don't give support. That's what we do. But I'm saying that the warranty may not be ideal compared to a Asus. A Asus, you can take that bad boy back to Best Buy. Does that make sense? You can take it to Best Buy if there's a problem. Whereas with the Ayaneo 2, you can't take that anywhere. You see what I'm saying? So outside of just taking it back to the manufacturer, but that's in China. So, you know, it's a little difficult. All right, let's go ahead and go to the, what is this? What are we looking at here? So, I like adding monitors inside of my computer cases. I like doing that too. You and me both. Yeah, can y'all see that? Well, you can see it if I switch to Xbox. Yeah, so there is a monitor right here, and this is where my chat is. Free tech support. I have a game that uses audio exclusivity. Invisalign. Pay me no mind. I have a game that uses audio exclusivity. And every time I start up the game on Streamlabs, it freezes. It's a music recording game. Not gonna lie, I was blanking sad when ROG said April Fool's on the Ally. It's not April Fool's. They're actually releasing that, even though I knew I couldn't afford it. Yeah, it's gonna be pricey, bro. But with it freezing on Streamlabs, how are you? Oh, it's a game that you're playing. Okay, so typically. Then I became happy. So typically, if we're talking about Streamlabs and we're talking about a game that you're trying to play, that you're trying to use as an input. Now, if we're talking about from a console, then I wonder what capture card that you're using in order to input that in to Streamlabs. If we're not talking about a console, we're just talking about the PC, then I would suggest that you make sure that the hardware decoding is set up for that particular input. So it could be that it may not be able to show, or it may freeze because you may not have the proper settings in Streamlabs for that particular input. So if you go to the properties of that input, it should give you options to make sure hardware decoding is enabled so that it utilizes your graphics card in order to display the actual footage, the actual video, or the actual game. So that's what I would say for that. If we're talking about PC, if we're talking about console, then we're talking about capture cards, and that would depend on which capture cards you have, because then you would have to go to the capture card software and look it up that way. So just let me know, if you see options for hardware decoding in Streamlabs, and we can go from there. All right, Metro Wolf. That is a lot of monitors. It is very, very, what's the word? Shiny. Okay, it looks more like stickers than monitors, but, if you want to call it a monitor, sure. But that's one of the cool things about some of these glass panels. You can just turn them into straight monitors, which is, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. This one right here, I was just looking at this, and I was like, that's pretty cool, but it looks more like a decal than a monitor, because, it doesn't look like a monitor. It looks like a straight up decal. So, I adding monitors inside of my computer cases. I don't know if any of these are monitors, but sure, if that's the way you feel about it, okay. It doesn't look like a monitor. Screen looks great in Lian Li, so much on the Y60. Yeah, Lian Li, the O11D, which is one I have, that is one of the best places to have a screen. Whenever I do a product review on this one here, I feel you, bro. I understand. Whenever I do a product review on this guy here, I'll explain the exact monitor that you want to go with, because that is 100 times better. Because what that allows you to do is, like, for example, a lot of people like the idea, like if you watch a lot of YouTubers, the tech YouTubers, when they do product reviews of monitors and stuff like that, they use one screen. They just show that one screen and it's like a wide angle monitor or it's a curved monitor, something along those lines. However, talk to any tech or any person or any human ever, they'll usually tell you they want more than one monitor. It is the way it is. So if you have a computer that has a portable monitor in the front, it can act as your second monitor. So you can go with your curved panel and then use the second monitor on the chassis. Or if you travel and you only have the chassis, you can still basically plug it into power and still be able to do everything that you normally do. You see what I'm saying? So it's nice to have that. Plus, it's cheaper than buying a second monitor. So that's why it's really, really useful to have that front glass panel that you can turn into a second monitor, because then you're not limited to like for example, if I wanted to go a curved panel, I don't want to have just one screen. We do so much. We switch between like 30 different inputs in one show, you know, and we switch it quick. Like it's like there, right? So you can't have one screen for something like that. You have to have multiple screens. Well, a lot of people run into this, especially when they're streaming, and they want to have a way to see the chat. And the best way to do that is by having a second monitor. But sometimes second monitors can be a little bit too big, a little bit too bulky. That's when the portable monitor on your chassis comes in, and now your case is also using another monitor too, which makes it very, very, very convenient. So yeah, it definitely has its upsides to going with something like that. You know, the spirit of Easter is still alive if you cut your grade and can get one. If you cut your grade, can I get one? Oh, no. I don't know if I will actually end up selling some of this stuff, but eventually I will sell a few different things. But yeah, I'm trying. Basically, when we buy products or when we get products here to troubleshoot, we essentially add it to our repertoire. So now we can troubleshoot those particular issues as well, and it makes it a little bit easier. So if customers have issues with some product that we've never seen before, 9 times out of 10, we probably have it. So now we can, you know, answer the question properly instead of just saying, oh, reboot the PC, see what happens. We can't just say that. Though we have taken some L's because we told people to not reboot the PC. We basically started troubleshooting and not tell them to reboot, and then they reboot and fix it, and now we feel stupid. So we've had that happen before, but more than likely, we generally are able to troubleshoot in a very meaningful manner. I propose a trade. I don't know about all that, man. I don't know about all that. I just got this desktop set up because my ITX build, it died on me. The motherboard died, so I ended up having to swap to this. And now I don't want to swap back because I don't know what I'll do to not have a monitor on my chassis as well as multiple capture cards on a full-size ATX. Like, I don't know if I can go back to ITX with no capture cards. That's very hard to do. Alrighty, when you do what we do, right? When you have multiple inputs and Xboxes and whatnot. 6 Beyblade pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and a katana with a PC with a 4090 seems fair. Yo, hey, which version of Yu-Gi-Oh we talking about? We talking about the new gen, or we talking about the old gen? Like, if it's a blue eyes, like maybe we can talk. But if it's not a blue eyes, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. I want to be like Kaiba. I want 18 blue eyes, man. I need exactly 18 blue eyes so I can combine them to the biggest dragon known to mankind. All right, let's go ahead and go to our next one here. Let's help out our homie. TV is blurry when connected to a laptop. I'm trying to hook up a TV to our computer to a Vizio and it is blurry. Okay, we have it to use a display to display a video. I have the resolution set. What am I supposed to do? This is a repeat. We worked this issue before. We said, okay, well, what kind of cable are you using? Is it like a display or HDMI, something that converts one input type to another, thinking that maybe they were using like a USB-C to HDMI or a display to HDMI or a DVI to HDMI, which would explain why the resolution is deteriorated. Have you tried replacing the cable? We have used 2 different HDMI cables. The one I'm using now, I use with my monitors all the time and it works just fine. Okay, so he's using a straight HDMI cable, yet he is seeing it blurry when connected to a laptop. Okay. Okay, well, what is the resolution and frame rate of the laptop, and what is the resolution and frame rate of the TV? It's okay to ask him this because he said he's trying to hook up his laptop, and when he's tried with other monitors, it's worked, meaning that he has hooked up an HDMI to a second monitor before. In other words, he's also set the orientation of them before as well. So it's safe for us to ask him that question. But if you are wondering what I am referring to, let's switch to Windows 11. And basically, I'm just saying going to display. Change the resolution and display under my settings here. If it will open. Oh, okay. I guess it will help if I click on the actual thing here. So basically, I'm just telling him to go here. So I'm trying to make sure what resolution that he has it set to versus the resolution that the television is set to. It could be that the resolution that he's trying to get it to display is lower than the television's resolution. So maybe it's showing blurry because of that, and they're not in sync with each other. By the way, this boss is extremely hard for a warrior. It's really, really bad on Diablo 4 beta, but yeah, it's really pain. Anybody that is ranged in your melee is awful. It's very bad. Very, 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 very bad. All right, but in any event, that's essentially what I was trying to get him to go to. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This one. Fly for the Sky Dragon. No, no, sir. All right, let's go to the next one here. Why can't I connect to Xbox Network? All right, bet. So he says, we answered that TV is blurry. Let's just make sure I said something. Yeah, we did. Okay, on my home page, this is a new issue. On my home page, it's telling me to connect the Xbox Network, and I can't open games. But when I can click on it, it tells me my connection is good. And I've tried turning it off and on and restarting it and disconnecting the Wi-Fi and reconnecting it. Can anyone help, please? Sure, of course we can. That's what we do. All right. So what happens if you connect your Xbox directly to your router? Does the Xbox network work then? It sounds like its signal is weak. But there's another test you can do too, because Xbox is full of surprises when it comes to settings. So if we go to home, settings, network settings. All right, so now Xbox has all kinds of things you can do here. So what we want him to do is we want him to test his multiplayer connection. So it'll be settings, network, test multiplayer connections. What happens if you go to settings, network, test multiplayer settings? What does it say? What does it say? So there are other options that you can go with, but I would rather go here because it's basically trying to test exactly how it goes with Xbox Live, and it should let you know if you have latency right then and there. So essentially what we want him to do is test his multiplayer settings to see if that works, as well as hooking up wired and see if that actually gets him working. Then we can kind of work with the Wi-Fi if he wants us to. But if he can get it wired, then we can just go from there. Yeah, no, bro. I'm not saying I can't do it. I can't do it. Not for Slifer, that's for sure. All right, let's go to the next one here. So we're back on Ayaneo. This is from Mean Man. Is Ayaneo next worth getting when I have a Steam Deck? Not really. I mostly want it for FIFA 23, Modern Warfare 2, or Black Ops 3. Steam Deck on Windows while playing an external SSD, sometimes having issues to play them very good, crashes time to time, or I have to play FIFA 23 on low 30 FPS. Yeah, that's the thing with some of the Steam Deck games. It kind of becomes a pain depending on the system and what you're running it on. But Ayaneo Next is actually really good. So if you guys don't know what he's talking about, it is essentially a cheaper version of the Ayaneo 2 that we just looked at. Ayaneo next. Let me go back to, yeah. Okay, just making sure that we set the right one. All right, so the Ayaneo next. So there's different versions of this guy, but the one I'm guessing he's talking about is the one that literally says next. So this guy here, 8-core, 16-thread, Zen 3, and it's going to have AMD Radeon Vega 8, which is going to be pretty comparable to the Ayaneo 2. Somewhat comparable, of course, because this is a 1280 by 800p resolution screen. However, you have to understand, this guy is running full-blown Windows. It's not running the Steam OS. So just for the fact of having a full-blown version of Windows, I would say that would probably be his better option. Now, at this price point, he can also just wait for the ROG Ally because that will get him 120 FPS. So depending on his time frame, he may be better off just waiting. So at least we should let him know. So for this one, upgrading would help as you would get a full-blown version of Windows. However, if you are not in a hurry, then it may be better to see what the ROG Ally is going to shape up to be. That way you have options. 60 hertz to 60 hertz, you know what I mean? So 60 hertz versus 120 hertz is a big deal, even if it can only run at 90, since you play shooters and sports. It's a big deal for him, right? If he said, you know, WoW, Lost Ark, Path of Exile, then, you know, Ayaneo may be fine and it may be okay with upgrading. But if this man said FIFA, Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops 3, all three of those games would benefit from him having 90 FPS versus 60. You see what I'm saying? So I can't in right conscience say, okay, yeah, go with the Ayaneo next in this particular situation when I know the ROG Ally will have a 120 hertz panel. You see what I'm saying? It may be better for us to point him in the right direction and say, hey, I would just wait, because he's not really in a hurry, right? Because he already has the Steam Deck. So it may be in his best interest just to go ahead, and that was nice. That may be in his best interest to go ahead and wait and see exactly what happens. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This is from Nickel. I remember him. Nickel, Discord causes my PC to turn off and restart. Okay, so we talked about this and we were trying to figure out exactly what was happening with Discord. And I said, what happens if you uninstall Discord and reinstall it on a spare thumb drive? Does that help? He said, I solved it. It just happens that Discord was in use while turning off. The problem was the new Windows 11 update for me and my buddy of mine too. After a clean install of Windows 10, it works just fine. Glad to see you got that resolved. This is one of our L's from yesterday. Let us know if you have any questions in the future. Surprise update, it happened again. At this point, it's either my PSU or I need to do a BIOS update since I never did one. Oh, okay, so you're trying to say that we didn't get the L that we got last time. Okay, well, I would go with the BIOS update first. I would go with the BIOS update first to see how that goes before you do anything hardware related. Keep us posted if you have questions. Yeah, typically I would go for BIOS update over anything hardware because, you know, at least we know at the end of the day that we've tried everything. Does that make sense? So going for a BIOS update, if he's having an issue with Discord, it's a possibility that it could be something, but Discord is, okay, so to be fair, we've already asked him to go to Event Viewer to see if there's any errors. It doesn't generate any errors when it crashes his PC. Plus, Discord has to be up, so he can't just open it and close it. It has to stay up for this to actually trigger. So, bearing that in mind, and the fact that it is shutting down, then, you know, I'm starting to wonder, he's saying that it's power related. It's a possibility, but Discord doesn't use that much CPU or power or anything for that matter because it's Discord. I would say more than likely go for BIOS in that particular situation and see exactly what that gets you and then kind of go from there. But there are a few other options as well. It's just that he presented BIOS and power. Therefore, I'm going to go with BIOS. But there's a possibility that BIOS may not fix it. There's a possibility that power supply may not fix it. And then we'll jump in and say, you know, what we would do next. So we'll just go off of what he says. It's okay if the customer decides that they want to be the one to lead. I have no problems with that. You know, you got to follow before you can lead anyway. So it's okay if he wants to control the narrative here because that's what he thinks it is. And I'm willing to abide by that and just say, hey, just go with the BIOS update first. And then we'll just go from there. There's no problem with that. All right, Nickel, keep us posted, bro. Okay, what on earth is this? All right, so everybody can see. This is world's first Lian Li Dan A4H2O with Noctua U12A Chromax. Okay, and an RTX 4090 liquid. So the U12A Chromax is, you know, it's Noctua, so I mean it's not a lot to talk about there. But oh my God, it's huge. That is definitely a world first. I don't know why you would. Okay, I do know why you would want to do that, obviously for cooling, but that's a lot. His computer got a hemorrhoid. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, man, why would you do that to your case? But I mean, hey, the Supreme, hey, the MSI Supreme 4090, that liquid cooler guy, it takes the 240 millimeter at the top, so he can't do anything at the top because this guy takes it. So I get that, but at the same time, man, ugh. I don't know, man. What kind of processor are you running? You better say, okay, fine. Because I was saying if he was going to go Ryzen, I would just go with the 105 watt TDP and then use a low form factor cooler and call it a day. You know, it's okay for you have a little less processing power, but if he just wants to turn it into a beast, sure, I guess. I mean, but it just looks kind of weird. It looks like it has a hemorrhage or something. It like, why is it looking at me? That's what I'm trying to say. It looks weird, bro. Like, yeah, it's a first ever for sure. Your chassis has a hemorrhoid. How do you spell hemorrhoid? LOL. Okay, we'll ask Google. There we go. That is, that's new. Okay, of all the things, that most definitely is one. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Alrighty, so next up we got, okay, so we have another video. Okay, well, back to where we were. Got Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered installed, and when I try to load it up, it just keeps doing this. Is it a complete write-off or should I do something else? Sure. Can't read the disc, bro. That's what that means. Okay. I go back to it, I'm on my butt. That sounds about right. That's exactly how I would shape up how I do in Call of Duty. Blown up and dead. All right. Yeah, looks as if the disc is damaged, bro. Or your sensor is. Either way, I would just replace it. I would just return/replace it. Yeah. That's what that usually means. It can't read the disk. So if it can't read the disk, it can't add it to memory. If it can't add it to memory, it's pretty much over. Now you can, okay, so back in the day, I'm not sure if you can now, but I guess we can find out. Oh, I guess we can't find out because I don't have any game that is on disk. But, okay, God, I didn't mean to do that. I promise I didn't. Home. All right, so on some games, like back in the day, you used to be able to like save the game to the computer from the CD, but you still needed the CD to run it. It's a possibility that you could try that. I don't know if you still can, but I don't have any actual Xbox game discs anymore. Everything is kind of online these days. So there is a possibility that you could do that. I know the older versions of the Xbox did allow you to do that, but we're not going to go with that. We're just going to tell them just to return or replace it, seeing if I just got it. It's easier just to do that and just go from there. Alrighty, Intrepid, keep us posted, bro. We did reply, right? Yeah, we did. Okay. Devil May Cry. I remember this. So this guy here has an issue with Devil May Cry 3. Whenever he tries to play it, it crashes. We were wondering if the game is legit. We don't know. So we were asking questions to try to figure out if the game is Legit. So we were asking a few questions here, and we say, okay, but how are you playing it? Is it on Steam? There are certain options on Steam we may be able to try, like verifying integrity of game files. I've been trying to install it from the official CD I bought of the game. I'm not using Steam to run the game. Okay, he has a CD. Devil May Cry 3. Devil May Cry 3 PC CD. Yeah. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know. I wonder if he's talking about this version of Devil May Cry, or if he's talking about Devil May Cry, the other one, the one that just came out that's on like Steam and everything. So he may be talking about the older version of Devil May Cry. Official CD I bought of the game. I'm not using Steam to run the game. Yeah. I remember about the error still shows up, it still crashes my PC when I try closing the error message. Yeah, it sounds like the game may be corrupted. He's already tried to reinstall, right? On another drive, and he still gets the same issue. Yeah, sounds like the game may be corrupted from the CD you got it from. Not too many more options we can go with on this guy, since it's just a CD install. I was thinking to myself in my head, if maybe you can go to like a website and download it, you know, if like the CD got damaged or something, you maybe can go to the website, but we're talking about an older game, you know. I don't think he's talking about the new version of Devil May Cry. So yeah, I would just say it's over. There's not a whole lot more we can say. We might as well just peel off the band-aid and just let him know. Yeah, it sounds like it's corrupted. I mean, it sounds like you may have a iffy copy, and because of that, it sounds like it's not able to actually install properly. But it's an older game, so you know you might be able to get it for like $1 on Steam. So I would at least check to see if you could just download it from Steam and just go from there. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Group 6, not too bad, not too bad. 8:30 at Group 6, that's not bad. That's not bad. We'll finish around 9 something. That's not too bad. Okay, this is a whole lot of text, so just keep watching videos. A pocket full of posies writes, gigabytes of storage space being eaten by Xbox One, advice wanted. Okay, so he has the Xbox One X, and I cleared up 150 gigs of storage space on my 500 gig Xbox One to download Red Dead Redemption 2, which is roughly 130 gigabyte game approximation. After downloading only 54 gigs of the game, my storage space showed that I only have 4 gigs left, so I couldn't finish downloading it. I had nothing else in my queue nor any other games updating at the time. This has happened on 4 separate occasions whenever I try to download a large data game. Chunks of storage space seem to go missing. I've checked the games I have downloaded. There's only one that semi-regularly consumes a large amount of data. Warzone. That's absolutely correct. Warzone consumes a lot of data. Whenever this game updates its maps, it takes a huge chunk of space, so I've had to delete major games, Final Fantasy 13 and Dragon Age Inquisition. Ooh, I don't know about that one, man. Final Fantasy 13 and Dragon Age Inquisition are both pretty good. I'd probably say I'd rather play those two than Warzone. They're that good. Final Fantasy 13, Realm Reborn, of course, and Dragon Age Inquisition combined are better than Warzone. I think you want to install the wrong game. That's all I'm trying to say. Those two combined are better than Warzone. I would give it that. To make room for having a variety of small under 10 gigabyte games to choose from in one large data game. I double checked to see if Warzone was updating maps without me knowing. It wasn't. It looks like I'm losing a large amount of space to nothing. Has anyone else dealt with a similar issue, or what am I overlooking? Well, it sounds as if the drive may be having problems actually removing files off of it. So it could be something along those lines, or it could be just that Warzone is just taking all your drive space because you simply don't have a lot. You said he cleared 150 for a 130 gig game. That's not a lot. You know, it's a possibility that you may need a little bit more, because Warzone constantly updates, so it may just be eating up that space. 20 gigs is nothing for Warzone. 20 gigs is an update. Like it's nothing for Warzone. And it's nothing for Lost Ark. And it's nothing for Final Fantasy 13 A Realm Reborn. And it's nothing for Path of Exile. And it's nothing for Genshin Impact. And it's nothing for any other MMO you want to think about. 20 gigs is nothing. So yeah, I would say for this, 20 gigs is nothing. 20 gig buffer is nothing. I would give it about 180 gigs of free space before I try the download and then go from there. Even if it means you have to re-download a game you want later, do so then. But for now, clear 180 to 200 gigs of space and see if that allows you to download RDR2. Nope, sorry, not 1, 2. Great game. So yeah, that's what I would say there, Mr. Posies. I would say to give yourself a little bit more buffer. I mean, 20 gigs is not a lot, especially whenever you have Warzone and it's downloading updates and maps and stuff like that, because it may take you a really long time to download that game. And then the time that it takes you to download that game, Warzone could have eaten it and you wouldn't have known. So I would just go ahead and try to remove up to 200 gigs of space and then try to download the game. And then whatever games you had to remove in order to make that space, add them back and then go from there. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This is from Store Weekly. Store Weekly writes, PC randomly freezing. Well, so I don't know what's going on, but it's really annoying. My PC gets completely frozen randomly and nothing works. My cursor doesn't move, keyboard doesn't move, everything freezes, okay? And this is a repeat. We've been going back and forth. Oh my God, he says he has a whole lot to say. And I said, so, okay, well, do you have a CPU overclock or a memory overclock? If so, could you turn them off to see if that makes a difference? Also try to update the BIOS of the motherboard. I don't have any overclocks, and this might be a dumb question, but can it be something wrong with some program? Like every time my PC did that, I was doing something with Discord running on the background. I don't have Discord running on the background. I would open it for a few minutes and then close it, so I stopped using it, and it didn't happen anymore. But well, I'm pretty sure it is just a coincidence. Also, I heard that it might be because my PC is dirty. But well, I had a dirtier PCs before and nothing like this happened. I'll wait to see what happens. I used my PC way more today and yesterday and nothing happened. It was just okay. I'll try updating BIOS if it happens again. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, this started happening after I came back from a trip. I went to another country for a week, and when I came back, I turned on my PC, updated Discord, then talked to one of my friends, and then I started playing with them. After a few minutes, my PC froze for the first time. I haven't had this issue before, but my room is a bit dirty. It gets dirty really quickly. Fun fact. Fun fact. We run a live stream called TheOpenForum, where we troubleshoot tech issues just like this. And 4 groups ago, we had a guy with exactly the same problem after opening Discord. We are also thinking he may need to update his BIOS. So if you don't use Discord, then that would fix it as well. But if you have plans on using Discord again, and it crashes your computer again, then try the BIOS update and see if that works. Yeah, we literally just worked this issue like an hour ago. Same situation, exact same situation, where essentially he opened Discord, and then after a few minutes, the computer would just crash. So yeah, this This is the second customer that we've had with the same issue, so we're gonna say the exact same thing. Until one of us proves us wrong, try to update the BIOS and go from there. Alrighty, Store Weekly, keep us posted. All right. A little update on my JAMO open frame added my 1024 by 600 monitor. Aw, isn't it cute? Check this out. That is the cutest thing ever. So he has a little monitor here telling him all the temps and everything. And basically he has it set up as if it were just reading the specs and the temps and everything. So he can just see it and look and know exactly what his computer is doing. I put Sasuke on mine. I'm not that, I don't care that much. I care about Naruto more. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. And it's nice and it's neat and compact and it's not huge and it's not like too overbearing. So yay, that's a nice little build, man. Congrats. I like it. Now you can see exactly what his computer's running at. It is nice and open too. That's nice. That's a nice, clean little build. Nice, clean build, bro. Clean build, bro. I am a huge fan of chassis with monitors in them. Seeing as I have one as well. Seeing as I have one as well. All right. I mean, it's nice, man. It's really nice. Congratulations, Agrius. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. All right, so this is from Difficult Leather. Trying to glue this piece back on. Oh, that's right. We're talking about this. This man has opened up this PlayStation 5, and essentially, when he opened up his PlayStation 5, he broke one of the label or one of the little buttons, and this is basically holding something in. It doesn't really matter because once you put the side panels back on, this guy gets closed up. And he said, "Gotcha. Glad you were able to get that figured out. By the way, if you have issues in the future, we run a live stream, and you know, check us out." And he said, "Perfectly. I'll definitely join it. Thanks, man." No problem, Mr. Leather. Keep us posted, bro, if you have any questions in the future. Alrighty, so this is another question for Ayaneo. Ayaneo Air Plus 6800U versus Steam Deck. Just looking in terms of raw performance, I have a deck and I'm considering getting the former for a more pocketable portable sitch. The Ayaneo Air Plus with the 6800U is stronger, yes? Yes. Yes, it's stronger, but not really pocketable. The Ayaneo Air Plus is stronger, yes. I'm one of the weird ones who don't want that ROG Ally thing. It looks ugly. my man. Okay, let's take a look. Ayaneo Air Plus. Just to make sure we're talking about the right product. I mean, yeah, it's compact. It looks like the Switch. Yeah, it's stronger, but not really the most pocketable thing ever. Yeah, it's stronger, but not really the most pocketable thing ever. But it is pretty handy in a case. Fun fact, the Ayaneo 2, as well as its predecessors, can fit in Switch cases. Go figure. LOL. This is true. This is 100% true. I can show you. Okay, well, maybe I can't show you here, but yes, this is 100% true. The Ayaneo can fit in Switch cases. Like, it's literally here. I can show you. All right. So, Ayaneo and Switch. Oh. Switch. All right. So, if you look, they are very equivalent in size. Therefore, they can fit in similar cases. So, if you look there, they're very, very equivalent. Now, of course, when you flip them to this side, you can tell that one is a lot thicker than the other, but they are equivalent sizes. So a lot of times, if you have a Switch case, you more than likely can fit the Ayaneo in there too. It may be a little tighter of a fit, but it should be able to fit. So go figure. All right, move this back here and put this back here and plug this in right here. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay. But yeah, a lot of them can work. All right. And so we answered this question, and we talked about the Ayaneo. Okay, group 7. This is our last group for today. Oh dear God, this is a lot of text, man. I'm just gonna read a parts of it. Don't worry about the text. I'll do it myself. Okay, let me get ready. This is way too much text, man. Just continue watching me getting destroyed in Call of Duty. All right, let me get ready for this. Why a Nintendo Cinematic Universe is a terrible idea for now. People are all over Twitter talking about the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, the NCU. I am firmly in the camp that this is a terrible legacy ruining idea, albeit with a caveat. Okay, I am in the other band or ballpark, and I can explain why as soon as I start reading his. Nintendo IPs have a ton of stories that can be told in either a ported over form, tell a story that is heavily based on the events of Ocarina of Time, for example. Yeah, but Link's, okay. Ocarina of Time, Link had no business there, okay? In any Legend of Zelda game, Link never had any business there. It was between Zelda and Ganon. It has nothing to do with Link. He's only in there to protect Zelda's honor. Like, he has nothing to do with any of these stories. He's just the hero of light or whatever you want to call him. But he doesn't have anything to do with these stories. So if you're trying to explain Ocarina of Time, you can explain Ganon trying to take over the rest of the world from just having the deserts and trying to expand his territory and take over Hyrule. Gotcha. But Link really doesn't fit into that. That's just between him and Zelda. So, you know, whereas Mario actually had a story. But given in Mario, Peach was always strong. This woman has been strong since Super Mario Bros. 2. She was the only person that can fly across the entire map. So she was always powerful. So I never understood, like, everybody was getting mad, like, oh my God, Peach is so strong. Peach has always been strong. There was never a time when Peach was weak. She has always been the strongest character. Her and Yoshi, I would say, are probably like the strongest. Maybe Luigi would be next, but Mario's never been the strongest character. He's just been the most normal, I guess is the best way to say it. And then he says, okay, Ocarina of Time or original movie with lots of inspiration from the source material, but still being a completely unique story, essentially what Super Mario Bros. Movie is. By immediately building an NCU, you are forced to abandon the idea of self-contained story worlds and characters that are special. In a potential NCU, everything would have to be connected. Completely unique stories would be told using the source material, yes, but they would be jumbled, trash, smoothie of all the IP content. What makes Nintendo games special is that we love the world that they each inhabit. Link fighting a guardian in Hyrule Field, Mario floating around in Gusty Garden Galaxy, or Samus being attacked by baby Sheegoths in Pendrana Drifts. Adding Tom Nook or freaking Jigglypuff into any of these situations would undermine the stories that we're told in each game. This isn't true. And I'll explain why here in a little bit. The point I'm trying to make is that if Nintendo is going to be pumping out movies based on its IPs, we need to give them time to make the most of each individual story that can be told from a game without throwing in other characters for the sake of fan service. I think that once we've seen these stories told to a satisfying degree, then a Smash Brothers movie could happen. I actually think it would be a dope idea to make a Smash Brothers movie, but it needs to happen way down the line. This is what I was about to say. So in this particular situation here, you have to understand, you can have unique IPs that tell stories about different characters and their worlds and still put them together because they have Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is them, all of their tunnels coming together in one and being controlled by a master hand as if they were puppets. That story can still be told without you taking away from each individual's world. Kind of the way you were able to tell Iron Man's story and the Hulk story and Thor's story without them having to be connected. Okay, Thor just happened to crash land on Earth and it turned into a story, true, but he still had character progression within the MCU. And so did Iron Man, and so did the Hulk. They all had character progression. Even though the Hulk regressed a little bit, they all still had character progression. So you can still have that. They can still have their individualized worlds because they've always had Smash Brothers. So when it comes to basically putting them all together and turning it into something, they already had it. Whereas the MCU never, okay, they had it in the comic books, but they never actually came together to form it because it was never done before, right? They only had, you know, different brands or different, you know, Blade, essentially, they had Blade, right? So right before Iron Man launched, all they had was Blade, but they never had the ability to put it all together into the Avengers, essentially. You know, they had the comic books to go off of, but it's never been made in a movie concept. Well, Nintendo now has the Avengers to look to see what's done right and what's done wrong. And on top of that, they can just create their own individualized stories the same way they did with Iron Man and Thor and so on and so forth. They don't necessarily have to connect them because everybody has tunnels. Eventually, you know, you can make the argument that in another tunnel, in another world, there is Hyrule. In another tunnel, in another world, there is Yoshi Island, which was seen in the movie. So you have that ability. So I don't know if, you know, having a Mario universe is a bad thing. I would think that as long as Smash Brothers exists, there is a way for them to make it right, okay? So I am all for them having a Mario cinematic universe. I think that would be super awesome. So hey, I am excited, but I get his point. He wants to have individualized universes before they turn into something like a Smash Brothers, which is true. Running through firing range is stupid, by the way. Just don't do what I do. I just do it because, I don't know, it's fun. I'm used to the original firing range where you can just run through the map and with a really fast gun, you can actually get the load out on people. But in these versions of Modern Warfare, people just spawn right behind you. So, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's what I would say for this one here. But I'm not going to type that. That's way too much to say. How many freaking posts of the cinematic universe are we going to get? Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I mean, he already mentioned Smash Brothers. So, you know, that's what I would say too. I was like, you know, as long as Smash Brothers exists, they have a blueprint. They just, you know, make a Smash Brothers movie, and Smash Brothers has nothing to do with anyone's story. It is completely within itself. So, you know, as long as you got Smash Brothers, you're fine. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This is from Razor Beams. What's something that frustrated you about Breath of the Wild that you hope will be fixed in Tears of the Kingdom? What's a thing you felt was annoying or frustrating in Breath of the Wild that you hope Tears of the Kingdom makes a little easier or better? How do you hope it's improved? Well, let's think here. Durability. I hated that you had to wait until you got the Master Sword before you had something that was durable enough to keep. Durability. I hated that you had to wait until the Master Sword until you got something that wouldn't break. There were a lot of weapons. There were a lot of weapons that were there that you just really wanted to keep, you know? I hated having to constantly go back to get the weapons that I wanted in order to fight the people that I wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like that. I get the durability and being able to throw your weapons and all that kind of cool stuff. I got you. But there should have been more weapons that have unlimited durability. Like, for example, if I beat, I don't know, 4 of those, what are they called? Tauros? Not the Pokemon, but like the you know, the mythological creature or whatever with the horse and the human chest or whatever, human top and a horse bottom. Those guys, if you beat like 4 of them, then you may get a weapon that's a rare weapon that has unlimited durability. That's what I mean. Those are the kind of things that I would have liked to have seen. Not just only the Master Sword. I think the Master Sword was great, but at the same time, it just took so long to get it. I really wish that, you know, there was some kind of hard boss that if you beat that hard boss, you got a weapon that had unlimited durability. Like you can throw it and go back and pick it up. I think that would have been sweet. Just saying. That'd be nice. Oh, I probably should let him know that too. Durability, I hated that you had to wait until the Master Sword till you got something that wouldn't break. They should have rare weapons that are incredibly difficult to get that also have unlimited durability. Yeah, that's what I think. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. So this is from Radio Jin. 7900 XTX posts on a Dan A4H2O. To be fair, the 7900 XTX also fits on Centuries. So like it can fit on just about any case. Like it's a very, very compact graphics card. It's great. It's really great. So yeah, that looks great. That looks really good. And he still has the liquid cool on the CPU. So hey, congrats to him. Nice build, bro. I actually wanted this build. It just so happened that the 4090 was available when I was going to get the 7900 XTX. I wanted the XTX because it would fit in my Sliger SM580, Sliger SM580, which is this case here. Sliger SM580. So I was going to get the 7900 XTX, but it wasn't in stock. And so all they had was the 4090. And I was like, well, even if I don't like the 4090, I can still sell it and then still buy the 7900 XTX. I just ended up liking the 4090 because it's great when it comes to this type of content. It works out really well. But yeah, I was trying to get it for the Sliger, and the 4090 doesn't fit in the Sliger. Therefore, I couldn't use this case anymore, even though this is one of my favorite cases of all time. Actually, it's really good. I really love this case. Nice build, bro. Nice build, bro. Gotta get a man props. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Which PSU for the RTX 4090 and the Strix 13900 KS? Which PSU PCIe 5 is best ultimate quality for a RTX 4090 or a 13 plus the 13900 KS? Yeah, he already said it. Seasonic Prime TX 1000. Yeah. There's also a SFXL power supply that's really good. The 1000 watt SFXL power supply, PCIe 5. Is it the Loki? I didn't think it was the Loki, but maybe it is. I know there is one, but this thing is super expensive. Yes. But that is super expensive, bro. I don't know about that. Yeah, it should be cheaper. It shouldn't be that expensive. Yeah. No, I'll go with what he says. What he says is cheaper. There is also the Loki SFXL, but it's crazy expensive, bruh. Bruh. But it's crazy expensive, bruh. But yeah, the Loki SFXL is what I was thinking of as well. But you know, I wouldn't go for it. You know, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, all you gotta do is get an extender and you don't have to worry about those 4 cables, and you can still use your old power supply. So me personally, I wouldn't. I was waiting for the PCIe Gen 5 power supplies to come out whenever I bought my Ryzen, but the now that they're out, I don't see a point in swapping when you already have a power supply that works just fine. There's no point. There's nothing to gain from it. Just use an extender. All right, let's go and go to the next one here. So this is from Glorious, 120 FPS, which is glorious. i7 8700K bottlenecks of 40 wood, and i7 8700K bottleneck of RTX 4090. Yeah. The title, I'm planning on buying an MSI Gaming X Trio, but I'm worried that my CPU might bottleneck it since there have been many CPU launches after it, and that it might be getting old for the current gen GPUs. Also, is it possible to just buy a CPU and use it with my current motherboard? I use an Asus Maximus X, and I think I saw somewhere that the chip or something that the motherboard uses for the CPU socket got changed after Coffee Lake. But I might be wrong. Let me know if the motherboard would be an issue when buying a new CPU. Yes, it would most definitely be an issue. Definitely be an issue. But none of this matters if we don't know what monitor you are going to run. I mean, if we're talking about if it's 2K 240, if it's 2K 240, then you may not even notice. You may not even notice, and everything will run fine. But if you're trying to run 4K 120, then that may be a problem with the CPU. Bottlenecking the GPU. Yeah, I mean, you know, it really just kind of depends on the situation. All it really depends on is the monitor. If you have a monitor that's a 240 hertz monitor, you may not even notice a difference. Most games, even with an 8700K and a RTX 4090, even if they run at a lower frame rate, you may not even notice, because once you get over like 140, 150 FPS, it doesn't matter. You're not going to notice much of a difference anyway. So even if it is a loss of frame rate, let's say, you know, you could be getting 200 or you're getting 160, who cares? Because you're not going to be able to notice that difference anyway. Okay, your eyes don't move that fast. I mean, it's just not that big a deal. So you may not even notice. Now, if we're talking 4K 120, then you may truly notice the difference, right? Because then you may not be able to use the 4090 to the best of its abilities, and you may end up getting like 80 frames per second where you could be getting 120. So in those kind of situations, I would say, yeah, then you may have to look at upgrading your CPU and motherboard and memory for that case. But if we're not talking about 4K 120, then I think you're fine. All right, what a day. We had so many issues or so many questions and so many things that we set up and all this and that, and we talked about the ROG Ally as well as the Ayaneo 2, and now I get to play with it when I get off. And today is Thursday, and I'll see you on Monday. And oh my goodness, what has been going on? But that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go on the like button. If you really like it, go to subscribe. I love you either way. Take care, all the best, and bye. I will see you on Monday. One of these days, I'm going to have to do a late night special. I'm not sure what day, but be on the lookout for that. But we'll see how it goes. This is very draining, so we'll see how it goes. But you guys have a good one, and peace.